Oh hey, what's up? Just another snowstorm in Wisconsin. Oh, it's painful. And the horses want dinner. Here comes Katie Mae. So I was gonna do an update video on how Katie's feeling, and then we're having this crazy snowstorm, and it's supposed to get down over the next few days. The temperature is dropping, and it's gonna keep dropping. We're gonna have lows of like 35 below 0 Fahrenheit. So it's gonna be gross out, and I just want to talk to you guys about what I do to prepare the animals for extreme weather like that. First, I'll do the update on Katie Mae quickly. So we had the vet out again. We did more blood tests. We did x-rays, which I'll show you here. The results of the x-rays weren't bad. There's definitely some rotation in there, but not as bad as it could have been. The blood work, however, showed that her insulin levels are, as my vet put it, off the charts, which means she's getting a lot of sugar somewhere in her diet. None of the supplements that I give her have sugar in them. So the next step was to test her hay. Tested the hay, and her hay's not high in sugar. So where is she getting it from? Obviously, she is eating something in the pasture. Now, I've caught her eating little tree shrubs, you know, just short trees that are just a couple feet tall. And those are absolutely loaded with sugar this time of year. So I'm thinking that is where she's getting the sugar from, which is raising her insulin, which is causing inflammation, which is causing the pain problems she's having. For now, my vet has put her on this thyroid medication, which is really good for bringing down their insulin levels and just helping them flush it out of their bodies. I do have a grazing muzzle. I'm probably going to have to start putting on her during the day, but it'll just make it harder for her to eat things she's not supposed to be eating. I also dug out my old hay scale. I always weighed our hay in Washington, and then after we moved, I just kind of stopped doing it. But I weight taped them, and they're a little bit, well, Abby's quite a bit overweight, and Katie could lose 50 to 100 pounds, so Katie's quite a bit overweight too. But so I got my hay scale out, and I've hung it up there, and then I have my little bucket, which I hang on here. So I weigh the hay every feeding, and then it goes out into that slow feeder that I showed you. Although on days like today, when it's snowing and gross outside, I'll just go ahead and feed them inside because I'd rather they stay dry, even if they're going to eat their food a little quicker. Now, in preparation for this cold weather, yes, I absolutely have blankets for the horses. That's actually what's in all of these tubs. I have multiple different weights of blankets. So one reason I don't blanket horses is their coats are really good at insulating themselves. The hairs raise and lower to let as much heat out or trap as much heat as they need. As soon as you start putting blankets on, you block their body's ability to do that. So you need to make sure you have a heavy enough weighted blanket for whatever the weather extremes you're having outside. So I have multiple blankets, and you have to make sure they're waterproof, and you always want to have a backup because they're gonna go roll in a puddle or something and get it wet, and you need to switch it out and have a dry one on. So at this point, I'm not planning on blanketing them during this storm, but if it gets to a point where I'm watching them, hi Max, and it seems like they're cold, you know, if they're shivering or something, then I 100% will put blankets on them. But they were here 2 years ago. We had negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit in winter, and they didn't even have this barn. They had the shelter that is out there somewhere, and they did fine in that. I did have, you can't even see it, it's right there, the snow's blocking it. They did fine in that, but I did have their blankets on. There's a lot more space. This is a lot more wind-proof, so I'm thinking they'll be okay. Now you can see I don't have Katie's boots on right now. You can definitely see especially when she pivots and her front feet take more weight. That's a little painful for her. The boots have been working so well for that. Thank you, roosters. But the problem is when we have this much snow, and especially this new fluffy snow, it's getting down into her boots and it's impossible to keep them dry. The snow's just melting, and basically she ends up walking around in like puddles all day, which is not good. Horses can't have wet feet all day. They need to be dry. So for the meantime, that snow is soft and she can be without her boots. And then when this hardens up and we stop getting fresh snowfall, then I'll put her boots back on. But otherwise, when they've been on, they're on all day. And then when she comes in at night to eat dinner, I take them off, clean out her feet, let her walk around in here for about an hour to let everything dry off, and then we put them back on. But it's pretty easy. Yes, Fitz. But that's the horses. I'm gonna start electrolyting them tonight. The temperatures aren't getting extremely cold tonight, and this is for the cold that's upcoming. Like I said, I don't think it's getting -35 until next week, and that weather is gonna last for about a week or more. But I'm gonna start giving them electrolytes tonight, and I will keep doing it until we're back above zero, probably in the teens, like 10 degrees or warmer, and then I will stop doing electrolytes. But from now through then, they will be having them, and we're gonna grab more shavings just so I can throw down a few more bags of shavings in there so they have even more dry, soft, fluffy place to hang out in that cold. As for the chickens, they will have access to come in here during the day if they want, just like they do right now. They make their way here from the coop. But otherwise, I will be, the wind is cold. I will be adding electrolytes into their water starting tonight as well, just because I want to make sure everyone is nice and hydrated before this crazy storm starts. And then, they have their heated water bucket. The main thing I'm gonna do is, normally I keep this door open all day for airflow. I'm gonna close it and just have a small opening, and I might even close that back one if it's really windy, because I want to keep as much warm air trapped for them as possible. And I'm gonna put a buttload of fresh hay in here just to start getting it all piled up for them. I think I'm gonna have to kick the other ones out of the barn. They don't want to come. They don't want to walk through the snow right now. And then for the dogs do great. They're made for this climate and extreme cold weather. Their kennel will get shut at night, so that, again, just trapping more of that heat in. And that's that building. Normally it's open, but we'll shut it at night during this extreme weather just to keep them a little more comfortable. And I will Max, look at that pouty face. He wants his dinner. And I will give them shavings and extra food. That's another thing I guess I forgot to mention for the horses and the chickens. In extreme cold like that, if you keep feeding them, it's just kind of counterproductive with the horse's diet, but it's okay. Keep giving them more food, higher protein foods, and keep them warm. So the horses will get more hay, the chickens will get more mealworms and corn and scratch type foods, and the dogs will get probably double their food, and possibly I'll throw in some venison that I think I found buried in the freezer for them. But that is it. That's the update on Katie May, since everyone's been asking. It's probably the best diagnosis we could ask for, is that it wasn't necessarily her Cushing's disease progressing is what the problem was. It's that she's eating things she should not be eating and getting too much sugar and causing a lot of problems. We're supposed to be clearing all these trees in the spring, and we'll run like a skid steer through here and murder all of those little trees, which I've been calling sugar sticks, that she's eating. Hopefully that won't be a problem anymore. And then other than that, it's just preparing for this nasty weather that's coming. I'm not looking forward to it, but it is what it is. My hot wire line is like shaking right now. It's really weird. Can you see that? It's electrified. It's not touching anything. And it's not windy enough that it's just freaky. It distracted me because it's weird. That's it. I'm gonna go and feed everybody for the night before my fingers freeze and fall off. I don't think it's picking up how red they are on camera. I hate wearing gloves, so unless I have to, I don't. I just kind of suffer through it. But as you can probably hear, the girls want their dinner. And then I have to chase all of these hoodlums into their coop for the night.